my name is Kealohi Salvador, and I'm the owner of Cocokealohi. We are based on Oahu in Hawaii, and today I'll be teaching you guys how to make pāpale launiu. Pāpale is hat in Hawaiian, launiu is coconut frond, so this is the material that we'll be using today. If you do buy a kit, your kit will come with a coconut frond, a piece of string, and then a measuring tape. So first step, you're gonna go ahead and measure right around the middle of your forehead. So something like this. And then we're gonna measure the piece. So I know I'm a 23, so I'm gonna measure and cut accordingly. So if you're making this at home, the first step you'll need to do is pretty much shave the entire middle section, just so that it's pliable enough to make it into a circle. If you buy one of our kits, the frond will already come shaven, so you won't have to worry about that. But we're gonna go ahead and shave the inside. Okay, so it should look something like this. You know you shaved enough when it's pliable enough to turn it into a circle. So you're gonna match the two pieces together, and you're gonna create two little notches so that we can tie the piece together. So I just create two lines, cut the two little notches. So this part, you just have to be super careful. So we just want to create these notches so that when we tie them together, the string stays in place and holds them together. So it should look something like this. When you buy a kit, it'll come with a piece of string. So you're gonna double it and then double it one more time just to make it a little bit thicker. So you're gonna double and double and turn it into fours. This is the easiest way I tie it together, but pretty much however you want to do it. I put the loop in my mouth just to kind of hold it in place. And then you're going to wrap around in the two notches, and you'll go around probably about 5 times or so. And this part, you want to make sure you are tying super tight, because as the hat dries, the leaves will shrink. So as they shrink, they might loosen a little. So you just want to make sure this part is super tight. And then once you're done wrapping around both notches, you're just going to tie a little knot. And then trim off the extra. So it should look something like this. Okay, so this is what the notches should look like. It might be hard to see, but I created the two notches, and then you pretty much just wrap the string around in the notches and then tie to keep it secure. So after you're done with that, we are ready to get started. So you're gonna weave in the direction that your leaves are pointing. Each leaf will be different. So mine are pointing counterclockwise. Doesn't matter where you start, you can pretty much start anywhere, but I will start here. You want to make sure this yellow spine is always facing the right, but I'm going to take this one. First step is you're going to bend it like an L. And then you're always going to go underneath the first leaf. So bend like an L, yellow spine facing outwards, and you're gonna go always under the first leaf. I would say maybe about halfway up. And we're gonna go under, over 5 different leaves. So always start under, And then we're gonna go over the second leaf, under the third, over the fourth, and then under the fifth. So you're gonna go under, over 5 different leaves. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once you hit the 5th one, you'll just pull towards the middle of your circle and then tuck. So it should look something like this for your first step. Okay, so since your leaves are pointing this way, we are gonna weave in this direction. So this would be my second leaf. That was the first one that we wove into. Same pattern, we're just gonna go to full circle. So bend like an L, under the first leaf, over the second, under the third, over the fourth, under the fifth. So you know you're correct. Each of these spaces should have one of these leaves coming out. So same thing, bend like an L. This yellow spine, you want to make sure it's always facing outwards. Always under, over, under, over, under. So pretty much same pattern until we go around full circle. Bend like an L, yellow spine facing outwards. And then your leaves, you want to make sure they're always folded in half. They never should be open like this. They always should be folded. So bend like an L, yellow spine facing out, under the first leaf, over your second leaf, under the third, over the fourth, under the fifth. So we're pretty much going to follow this same pattern until we go around full circle. Okay, so we always go under, over 5, bend like an L, under, over, under, over. So when you run out of these leaves, we're just gonna weave back into the beginning part and use these guys as if it was an entire leaf. So I went under 1, over 2, under 3, over 4. You're just gonna use this beginning one as under 5. So you should always start by going under a leaf and then you'll finish going under a leaf. So same thing for these guys. Once we run out, we're just gonna use the beginning ones pretty much just to finish the weave. So I went under, over, under, over, under. And then, like I said before, you know you're on the correct path. Each leaf or each space should have one of these leaves coming out. So last one, you're just gonna go under, same thing. Make sure you stay in the middle of your passage. Same thing, under, over, under, over, and under. So it should be no different. You're just pretty much finishing the weave. And then just make sure all your yellow spines are facing outwards. Okay, so we pretty much have the brim down. This is gonna be the bottom of your hat, and then you can flip it over. This is gonna be the top. So, we'll pull all of these guys out. Okay, so next step, we're gonna pretty much tighten the brim. Let me move this out the way. So you're gonna go one by one. It's easier for me. I just put a thumb right in the inside of the leaf right in front of it, and you're just gonna pretty much pull. So you have to go one by one, and then you have to go in the order, in the same order, just because if once you pull one, the back one will get loose. So this is probably the easiest step, but we're pretty much just gonna tighten, keep tightening one by one, just make your way around the circle. The main thing is that there's no holes in your brim and that everything is kind of flat and flush. So we'll just keep pulling. Make your way around the circle. This part you can be a little bit more aggressive with it. Just stop if you hear a rip, but you shouldn't hear a rip. And then just keep pulling, keep pulling. And then I like to go around probably about 3 to 5 times or so, just to make sure that it's super, super tight. When you flip it over to your front side, it should look something like this. Everything should be pretty flush, everything should be pretty flat, and then I don't see any holes, so it should look something like this. So after this step, you're gonna flip it back over, and then I trim off pretty much just the dead ends. So maybe about, depends on your leaf, but normally about that much, maybe about 6 inches or so. Just so that when we do the next step, it's easier to tuck once we cut off these dead ends. So now we're gonna make the band. I guess you just wanna push all your leaves down to the bottom. This is the top of your brim, so you wanna make sure all the leaves are pushed down underneath. This time we're only gonna pick up 4. So now you have 4 leaves in your hand, they're all pointing to the left, so we're gonna weave this way, pretty much clockwise. So this one will be your first one. Since we're weaving this way, this would be your first one. It's easier if you push it down and then to the left. And then if you're weaving opposite, it'll just be the opposite way, you'll push to the right. But this way, you're gonna push down and around. I like to say it's kind of like a wraparound, but push down to the left so that this yellow spine should always be facing the top. So push down to the left, wrap around, always under the first leaf, over the second, under the third. So it should look something like this. And then naturally it kind of points down to this leaf, so we're just gonna tuck it right under here. It's easier if you lift up from the underneath and then just slide that guy right under. So it should look something like this. So you did the wraparound, under, over, under, and then we're gonna tuck into the nearest leaf. Always important to have 4 in your hand. So since I only have 1, 2, 3, you're gonna reach and kind of feel just for the next one, just make sure you don't miss any. That is the most common mistake. So it'll be the one right next. So you can kind of just feel and grab for the next one, reach for the next one. Same thing, push down to the left, wrap around, under, over, under, and then same thing, we'll just tuck. So you're gonna be doing the same pattern until you go around full circle. It should be pretty flush. Everything should be kind of flat. You shouldn't have any like twists or anything. Okay, so now we're pretty much same thing as the bottom. We're back at the beginning. You run out of leaves to grab. So see how I only have 1, 2, 3. I don't have a 4th one to grab. You're pretty much gonna, same thing as the bottom. We're just gonna finish the weave and you're gonna grab the first one that we did. So I have 1, 2, 3, and the first loop will be your 4th one. So same thing, wrap around, yellow facing the top, under, over, under. So you'll just use that first leaf that we wove as your last one. Okay, so after we finish the weave, same thing as the bottom, we're just gonna pretty much tighten everything so that there's no spaces. I just pull from these fronds and then pinch at the top of your band. Just to kind of keep everything flush and flat and just to make everything look a little pretty. So you'll just work your way around, pull, tighten, and then pinch at the top. Okay, so once you tighten enough so that they're all pretty much the same height, Last step, just to keep everything secure. It shouldn't unravel at this point, but I like to just tuck one more under to keep everything secure and make it look a little bit more pretty. So it'll be you'll tuck right under, just like that. So it's pretty much done. These leaves that you see poking out, you can pretty much trim them or you can leave them however you prefer. But I'll leave this one out. If you do trim, I just trim here as close to the base as possible. But for this one, I'll leave it out and I'll just make it look a little pretty. I'll cut them so they're all even. So this part is pretty much just personal preference, however you prefer. Okay, and this is the final product. Should be on your head like this. And we are done. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully yours comes out something like this. So if you're interested in making a pāpale launiu yourself, we do sell kits. You can visit us at Cocokealohi.com or you can visit us on Instagram. Everything is at Cocokealohi. Look forward to seeing your finished products. Be sure to tag us if you ever do make one. Mahalo!